You can't hear us? Okay.
Yep.
For some reason you're not on the owl though. That doesn't make sense. Let me just double check something. Okay. You try talking one more time?
Josh.
Yes, I'm here.
Here. Computer. Well, I'll keep my volume up and if we need to, I'll keep looking at it, but we can get started.
Okay, call this meeting to order. I'll first entertain an approval of agenda. Bender,
Second.
Hanser, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the October 10th meeting.
Second.
Bender and Hanser, all those in favor say aye. And the 24th meeting.
Don't move. Second.
Hanser, Bender, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we can hear him. All right, time for public comments.
I wanted to talk about
Well, give us your name and
Okay.
who you are and your address.
Sorry, I got
You're good.
call. Excuse me. My name is David Kane. For those that don't know me, I see a lot of new members here. So I don't know how much history, you folks know in regards to the boat launch program here in Winnebago County. So I might cover a few things that you may or may not be aware of. So just bear with me. But I do have some concerns and some comments in regards to the proposed fee increase for the boat launches. And I've made my own notes in regards to this report as far as the fee increase. And I'd like to give you folks a copy of my thoughts so that there's quite a few things I've got to say, and I want you to be able to go along with me as I present myself in regards to what the fee
How
increase.
many copies did you make of that?
I made 6, so if we could share them, that would be great.
I'm late to get the long.
That's okay.
Sure.
As soon as I can get my glasses on so I can read my own
Oh, okay.
report. This agenda item in regards to the trailer permit fee increase. If you read through it, I'm just gonna skip to my changes or my comments in regards to what's in this report. And you guys can go ahead and make your own conclusions. But these are my conclusions and my thoughts in regards to the fee increase, and I hope that you'll be receptive to what I have to say. If we skip down to the justification of the fee increase, and you'll look where I've indicated that the $49 loss was primarily related to the cost of the buoys. If you flip to the next page, that shows the Winnebago County budget details for 2023. You'll see that in that the problem is that the years that were used to justify the fee increases are not atypical. We've had some really unique years here at the boat landings with COVID, with the increase or the decrease in the walleye limit, the poor walleye fishing. And the for perch fishing. So there's a lot of things that come into the usage in regards to the boat launch. If you look in 2020, professional services here, I really don't quite understand this budget detail thing because at best it's ambiguous. It really doesn't explain to me what ground maintenance involves. And as far as the total other operating costs, I'm not sure where that number is coming from too, because they don't add up with the expense total, and I'm having a hard time comprehending this page. But what I will point to is that in 2022, there was a $14,043 surplus in regards to the fees collected and the costs incurred. So that is somewhat of a typical year, but the other numbers that are used in the justification here, you're using numbers from 2020, and basically you're looking at a $63,000 loss, and $91,000 was used for buoys. Okay, so those buoys are no longer part of the cost associated with collection of boat trailer fees. And I actually, in 2021, another year that was used, $24,000 was associated to the buoys, if I'm not mistaken, because I can't tell, but I'm guessing that that's where that number is coming from, because once the buoys were eliminated in 2022, that number goes to zero. So I'm just gonna assume that that was buoy related costs. So the numbers that are being used here to justify the fee increase, in fact, are not atypical. Okay, the only one that is somewhat atypical is the fees collected.
No, we're supposed to ask questions, actually, but are you saying they're not typical or they're not atypical?
They're not typical, I'm sorry.
Okay.
They're not typical, I'm sorry, they're not typical.
Okay,
They're not typical. We've had some really unique years, like I said, with the decrease, for walleye fishing, the decrease in walleye limits. Now, the walleye fishing is coming back because of the decreased limits, and the perch fishing is getting to be wonderful. And what we're looking to do, as far as users are concerned, we're looking for capacity at peak usage times. We don't want someone to spend $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 for a boat and not be able to find a place to park it. That is our primary concern. Okay, and then having, adequate facilities. And by the way, I want to thank each and every one of you members and the county board for the improvements at the Grumman Boat Launch. All you folks took a tour of that facility, and it's absolutely wonderful. There's excess, as far as I'm concerned, there's probably going to be excess capacity at that boat launch, but it was our #1 boat launch. And the primary income, or the top income producer for the launches, surprisingly to me, is individual usage, daily fees. That is our primary income source for the boat launch. Okay. And in 2023, the numbers that you show it doesn't allow for the fact that the Grumman launch was closed from July to now. Okay, so them daily fees are not, they're nowhere to be found because the launch was closed. So what I'm saying is that these numbers that were used to justify the fee increases are not typical. Okay, and my concern, let's just move on. I just wanted to get that point across. My concern here is that when you go to the market research page, maybe someone can clarify some of the stuff as far as the budget, but I unless I get more detail, it just doesn't add up to me. The market research, if you look right now, we're right now at $7. We're tied for #1 in regards to daily fee costs. If we go to an $8 daily fee, we will be #1, and it will with all our local competitors undercutting us in regards to launch fees. All right. And now Brown County, you use Brown County as far as I'm concerned, that is not relevant in regards to local boat launch fees. Okay, I don't want to see millions of dollars stuck into, or millions of dollars stuck into the Grumman boat launch to add expanded capacity and never get the opportunity to have a fair chance to determine a baseline and see what the actual utilization is going to be. If you increase the fees to the boat launch, you're not going to know what the utilization is actually going to be. I think it's overbuilt, and it should be overbuilt, because to try and get a project like this, it takes a long time to do it. And we're talking about things that don't happen with this kind of an expansion on a regular basis. It was so undersized to begin with and such a safety hazard that I don't want to see a fee increase be a determining factor so that we cannot get a baseline and understand what the additional capacity will give us as far as utilization and income. So I'm asking that the county board table the proposal for the fee increases for a 1-year time, and for one reason alone, and that is to give us a baseline so that we can quantify the expansion of our boat launches and see what our base income is actually going to be. I don't think we know that number right at this point, because our Grumman is the #1 launch. We eliminated the fees from July through the end of the year. I just think it would be prudent to table this motion for a 1-year period and to give us a baseline so that we can actually determine what we're doing moving forward, okay? This is my personal opinion. I don't know.
You don't have unlimited time to speak.
Well,
You need to start, usually at a board meeting, you have 2 minutes.
I understand that.
Okay,
but
about 15, so try to wrap it up in the
Okay.
next 2 minutes.
Well, I can't do it in 2 minutes, but please bear with me because as a citizen in the county, you have correctly pointed out that a citizen cannot address a concern at a county board meeting because of the scope of business that needs to be conducted. If I don't have an opportunity here to talk to my county representatives and supervisors and explain myself on something as important as this, there is no other avenue for me to present my information. So please bear with me. I will go through this as quickly as I possibly can. I'm talking so fast, I don't want to miss anything.
You're not asking for it, so please let them continue.
Please
You
give
have a lot of time.
please give me some grab.
Go ahead,
Please
go
allow me to
ahead.
proceed. If you turn to the next page, you're talking about samples of future projects. I don't know how Adam has these prioritized, but I gave him my own priority. And a big part of this has to do with the discussion when we did the comprehensive outdoor plan. We had a meeting for the boat launches. And Adam stated that currently we have under capacity at the Butamore launch. We have under capacity at the Black Wolf launch, and we have under capacity at the Boom Bay launch. In other words, we do not have the adequate parking spaces, which in fact, negates the opportunity for county residents to launch their boats, and it limits the income as well. If you look at the proposed fee amounts, I don't understand the rationale behind a 3-year ticket and a 1-year ticket, because in all reality, there is no savings whatsoever to the consumer. So why not just eliminate the 3-year ticket completely if they're gonna propose an increase that's substantial? Now, I'm not a math expert, but as far as I can understand, the 3-year resident is a 60% increase. The 3-year non-resident is a 50% increase. The 3-year senior is a 75% increase. The annual non-resident is 11% increase. Seniors is 16% increase. And I don't understand this supplemental thing. Maybe somebody can explain it, but it's a 300% increase, 225% increase, a 1200% increase, and a 600% increase. And the daily is the 14% increase. I don't know if any of you board members and committee members think that this is fair to the users of the boat launch. Absolutely, in my opinion, no. How can you justify this kind of an increase on in a 1 year's time? It does nothing to address the fines. I think the fines should be increased for someone that's trying to cheat the county. I think if they get caught, they should pay. And so I want to see an increase in the fines to $50. I'm almost done. On the next one, they have the revisions and the actual language for the proposed changes to the language. And my concern here on this page is where you line out all the different previous fees. What you did also is you lined out the eliminating the definition of a senior. I don't think you want to eliminate that definition of a senior. It needs to be left in there. The definition for a senior is 55 years or older, and you've crossed it out and eliminated it. Otherwise, we have no definition whatsoever of who or what is a senior. And on the last page, you'll look at, it says the daily boat truck, trailer parking permit, daily envelope stub. Well, there is no longer, with the addition of the machines, which is gonna help people, keep people from cheating. There is no longer gonna be an envelope, so I think that should be stricken from the code as well. That's all I've got to say. I want to just say one more time, my reasons for not increasing the fees at this time are: number one, the increases would make the county fees the most expensive locally. The data used to justify justification is not typical. The increases are excessive. Other programs are not self-funding in a parks department, and neither can this one, or should it be. The increases will be associated with launch improvements and not the fact that they've been underfunded for 2 decades. And that's what happened. Our launches were underfunded for 2 decades. And one of the primary causes was because $1.3 million of boat launch fees were taken to use to pay for buoys. That's why we're in the situation we're in. The increases will not allow us to have an adequate baseline to quantify the capacity increases. Any increases will discourage utilization. If we double the size of the Grumman boat launch and we increase the fees, we won't know what the impact was in regards to utilization when we do expand our other launches. So this is what I wanted to report, and I'm asking for the members of this committee to make up, someone on this committee to make a motion to table this fee increase for 1 year until next year in November. And that's all I've got to say, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. Mr. County Executive.
Not today.
Not today.
President, yeah. John Dable. 1923 Dable Street in Oshkosh. Thank you. I really appreciate the previous comments.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of work was done. But I just want to say some concerns as a county resident, as somebody who's raising 5 daughters, that understands what that grocery bill is every week, that understands how hard it is for me to try to make the way right now. And I can feel that pain on a lot of my fellow citizens. One county, one budget. We spent over $1 million for Grumman. I appreciate it. We need to redo Black Wolf. We need to do Butamore. That's gonna be a lot more money coming up, and we're gonna have to bond for, that I'm gonna pay for. I don't use it. As much as I do appreciate how hard it is when fees go up. User fees are really important to me, because there are things in the county that need tax levy, and the things in the county that we don't necessarily have to do, but are important to me. For instance, everything's tied together. If we don't look for revenues other ways, we're gonna have to look at getting rid of Parkview. I don't wanna do that as a resident. If we don't find revenues other ways, we have to look at some of the other things that we may not be mandated to do, and there are tough choices here. And I understand how hard it is, and I understand the $1 a day. I understand the raising the fees, but when we're not, and it's not even revenue neutral, it's a deficit. When I in my business have a deficit, I'm not going to be giving a 30% discount for people. And I just want to remind this committee that we have some other services in the county, veteran services, ADRC, family services, economic support, that if there's a family out there struggling, we can give them a boat pass. We can do that. And the people that can afford the $1 a day, I think we need to look at it, because I think the other municipalities are going to too, because they're up against it too.
Well, let's give ourselves a
Well,
baseline.
and it's your decision, like, whatever you guys just do is what we'll do. But at some point, we're gonna be looking at some really hard decisions. And we can't just keep taking out a tax levy, because it's just not there. And I know we've talked a lot about maintenance. we went a long time with some of these boat launches before we maintained them. We haven't done a good job of keeping up with it, and I agree, the buoys was a big part of that. And moving the buoys out was, a smart thing. The buoys used to be part of, the Coast Guard's cost.
Still is.
Right, but now we take care of it. There's other things that we do that are other people's jobs, that we're kind of stuck with the bill. So that's it, just, I want you to remember when you're doing this, just understand there are plenty of people in the county that are struggling and don't even have a boat. Thank you.
Any other comments? Do you have a comment? Oh, okay. All right, then we'll close that portion of the agenda. So the first thing up for discussion is the boat landing trailer parking fee schedule modification.
All right, so included in your packet, agenda packet is a few items. Included in that is an agenda item report. Also is a resolution or ordinance change, and then also the red line exhibit A, which includes some changes in there. Just to address a few things, just some, and I'll go through this all obviously, but just to address a few things just because they're pertinent, and I appreciate all the effort Dave always puts in to honestly to the boat landings in general, and to this again. The seniors, the 55 and older, that was missed in there. I think that should be defined as well. So I think that's either whatever the committee decides to do, I think that's a definite easy change we can do. We can add it right underneath the definition of resident. So we can just add that to the definition right under there, because that's what we did, is we actually pulled resident out of here, but we must have missed pulling senior. So I think it is important to define that. And then the other item, we did not pull out daily envelopes or change that yet because we're working through that process, and there may be a month or two in the beginning of the season next year that some of the landings still have the cash, and we still might be using envelopes. So that was one thing that we were to have to change. We figured in spring we could change it now and add both, and then remove one later, or just have a gap for a month or two. But that's the reason why that was not changed yet. But overall, so kind of rewinding back to the beginning, when we were going through the budget process this year for 2024, one of the things that we were looking at, and we've been going through the comprehensive outdoor rec plan, and you can kind of see that list in the agenda item report. It was not in any specific order for the purpose of the agenda item report, but some of these items, the Eureka concrete landing, I don't have any pictures of it, but there's rebar. We cut the rebar, but there's issues there where it's a safety issue, or even really an issue for the trailers and the vehicles that are going in there. So maybe not as much safety issue, but even still a issue for people's equipment that are launching boats. Poigan concrete landing is in a very similar state. It has a void in its in the middle section of the landing. Might not need to change out the whole or fix the whole landing, but there's going to be a large concrete repair in there as well. Additional parking and bathrooms at Butamore because we need additional capacity. For those of you that were on the committee a few years ago, we did a master plan for Butamore. That's been in the CIP, so we went capital improvement process as well. Sorry, just kidding. Gosh, okay. And then dredging at several, all of our landings or several of our landings will need dredging ready, including, well, Grunman needed it this year, but I've heard comments from users for Butamore and Eureka especially, and also for Boom Bay. The parking lot pavement improvement at Boom Bay, that is not necessarily for expansion. That we're at okay capacity for Boom Bay. What that is actually the repavement of the lot, because right now it's basically gravel. It's just that deteriorated. And then the future expansion of Black Wolf. Now, keep in mind with Black Wolf, that is very, very contingent. We're landlocked there. It's very contingent upon is there any property to acquire in that area? So that would be the first initial step for that process. So those are the different projects we have. It did include, yes, the market research from the local surrounding counties. I understand from a user standpoint, it might be slightly different. Brown County, City of Oshkosh and us have the similar amount of landings in terms of the amount of landings, and I would say quality of landings as well. Now, Oshkosh is definitely more confined to a smaller area, and a lot of people, and Dave would be able to speak to, and other users that I've talked to, they're going wherever the fish is biting. So the one thing that Winnebago County has obviously is if Black Wolf, which is very popular if you're heading down there, but you can also go as far north as Grumman, as far west as even the Fox River. Where that is more similar to Brown County, where they're on the Fox River, but then they're also on Lake Michigan, which is a whole nother, just a whole nother body of water different than what we have. So the market research now, what you'll notice, I just want to highlight the 3-year resident. You'll notice not a lot of people offer a 3-year resident pass. So the NA is because they just did not offer them. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these two. Some of these communities, let's just, pick Calumet as an example. They charge $35 a year, but they don't have a 3-year pass. So if you multiply that 35 times 3, that is what they're charging in essence for their 3-year pass. So they're charging 70 times 35, so $105 for their 3-year pass. They're just not selling a 3-year pass. So obviously, really the only two that offer the 3-year passes ourselves in the city of Oshkosh. So just wanted to point that out as well. We're unique in that, a little bit of history, in terms of the fees. So the fee program began in 2003. It launched with it, and I'm just only going to use the resident annual, and the resident daily for purposes of, because as you can tell, we have a lot of fee types. And so it started at $25 for annual, and it started at $5 for daily. And then in 2018, so there wasn't a fee increase until 2018. So not only were the buoys partially an issue, but also if you think about it, for 15 years, the fees stayed the same. That's a very long time for the fees to not increase at all. There should be smaller incremental increases to help with those types of costs. So 2018, it was increased by $10 across the board, and then $2 for daily. So the annual was increased to 35. So that's, the annual's been $35 since 2018, just to give a little bit. And before 2003, there wasn't a charge. One note I want to make in the fee structure, fee calendar, I apologize, this was a typo. The supplemental, to explain what those are, because that was a question that was brought up by the public as well, and by Dave. Supplemental is if I have a boat trailer pass and I have already paid the yearly or the 3-year pass, and I have a second car. I can show proof of my second car or second truck, and we don't charge them for a second full pass. We charge them for a supplemental. And I apologize, it shouldn't be $60 in there, because currently our supplemental is $5. See, I just wrote down notes. Our current supplemental, here we go. Our current supplemental is $5 for resident and $10 for non-resident. So the proposal actually was supposed to be $10 for an annual. I apologize. I meant to go just talk resident, not necessarily as much non-resident, but basically increasing the annual by $5 and then increasing the 3-year by $15. So just so you're aware that way. Basically, I mean, so kind of circling back to why fee increase, or why we're even looking at all, whether it's this fee increase or whether or not the committee, when looking at the fee increase, is these projects. I mean, as everyone's mentioned, we are behind. There's just general things that we need to take care of. We need to take care of the concrete. We need to make sure people can get in the water without popping the tire. We need to make sure people have, like we did with Grumman, that there's capacity to access it, that you don't show up to a landing and you can't have anywhere to park. So with that, just like next year with Eureka, we have about 138,000 right now in the boat landing account. We're able to pay for that landing, which is budgeted 125,000 next year through the budget. If we want to continue to be able to do that, we're going to need 14,000 a year. Isn't going to get us to a point where we can do that on a regular basis. That essentially means that instead the county board is going to have to either bond or we're going to have to budget for it. And as was discussed earlier, levy limits are going to get more and more difficult. So it also depends on the quality of the landings that we want to provide to the residents as well, and the priorities of the committee and the county board. Yeah, I did include a graph. So I included a lot of data, obviously, in the document, but I did include a graph, projected income with fee increase. So if we did the fee increase now, keep in mind, it really, was, I kind of talked about at the budget meeting with the county board, if you recall. We don't know if we were to do this fee increase, we don't know how many people will still do a 3-year. The advantage of the 3-year at that point, if, with the current, proposed fee, is basically the 3-year locks you in. So if there's another fee increase in the meantime, you know, that you don't have to worry about that. And then also you're just not having so many stickers on your car. You make one stop 3 years and you don't have to come back every year. Obviously, that's up to, you know, to the user, how they want to look at that. And that was just to keep things consistent. So really, we don't know how many people would still buy, or how many people have a 3-year pass that would be then out buying the 1 year or would opt to buy the 3-year. We were not sure how many 3-year pass members would go to 1 year. So keep that in mind, but with the projected increase, just simply based off of 2022 numbers, since we had complete numbers for 2022. We don't quite have complete numbers for 2023 yet, because we, Festival Foods and Fishtails sells stickers for us, and then they're a large quantity. So we don't bill them until right around, you know, towards the end of the year. So actually we'll be working on that shortly. We are projected to end the year at roughly 113,000. I just looked at it this year. So basically the same as where we were at last year. But you could see by this graph, the increased amount, basically the fund balance amount, potentially at the end of every year, barring any major maintenance things that come up throughout the year, you can kind of see how it would look from year 1 to year 10. Yeah, I guess I would turn it over at this point, really, for any questions. That's the general summary.
I have a couple of comments or questions. I don't see a purpose in tabling this for an entire year, but you've already admitted that there are some major misprints in this thing, like, you know, raising something from $10 to 60. If you could come back, let's say we put this up until the March meeting, fix it. And I'm also wondering why it is that residents are paying a higher percentage of the increase than non-residents. Wouldn't it make sense to go the other way, that non-residents are getting?
So non-resident, basically the way that we set the fee was basically eliminating that 3rd year free. So basically it was the daily or the yearly fee multiplied by 3. So the percentages,
It's not getting to me, I guess. Why is it that residents are paying are being charged a higher percentage increase than a non-resident?
that's just simply if you remove that 3rd year as to why that percentage is higher. Because it's going up higher than the non-residents are, because the non-residents number already started higher.
Yeah, Jim.
I got a question. I thought about this before the meeting, and it's not included in here. If this is gonna go till March, I'd like to know how much the city of Oshkosh, Neenah, and Menasha and Winnebago County get for a total. Reason being, maybe it'd be advantageous to everybody if they would have one sticker for everybody. Something to think about.
So that's something that's definitely been, if there's feedback I get the most from boat landing users, is that they would prefer one sticker for the whole county. And actually Brown County pretty much does that.
But
Now-
one thing for, when you get the sticker,
Yeah,
I'm saying one sticker.
yeah.
And they can use the Oshkosh boat landings. Years ago, I used to fish a lot. You couldn't park, so we go to the next boat landing. And now all of a sudden, well, we're out of town, we gotta have another sticker. I don't know.
So the one thing to consider with that is, so Brown County then does all the maintenance. So for instance, they operate one of De Pere's boat landings, is just an example, but they do the maintenance just for the boat landing. And anything affiliated with the boat landing. So if, you know, City of Oshkosh sells our sticker and they're keeping, or basically a sticker that includes our landing, we're not receiving that revenue to fix our landings. So, I mean, that's, you know, when you're talking about, obviously, it depends how many you would want to group together with Neenah, Menasha, Winneconne, you know, obviously not Fond du Lac and Calumet and Brown.
That's why I'm asking for the money, so we would know how to divide it if we all win it. Pot. You follow my line of thinking?
Yes, I follow up what you're thinking. Yeah.
But what Adam is saying is that if we take care of all of that, then we're gonna be responsible for city of Oshkosh, city of Neenah, city of Van Nashua, city of Winnebago. We can be responsible for maintenance of all that stuff. We're already down, 4 men from what you had 8 years ago. You had 8 at one point, we're down to 4.
I can't remember.
Okay, well, we're at least down 1 right now, but the Parks Department is down probably cut in half from what it was, traditionally. So I don't know that we could take on every single city's, repairs and maintenance with what we have. I don't know the whatever.
You
money
would
we're gonna
have
get.
to, you would have to set up, and this would obviously take a lot of
Yeah,
coordination and cooperation, which I'm not saying is a bad idea. You would have to have a percentage of usage to a certain degree,
Yeah.
probably, and that's how it would have to be. That's how you'd almost have to pay out the revenue.
yeah,
You'd have to base it on how many landings, how much usage.
yeah,
One thing to keep, so you asked the question about March, we be mid-season, so we start selling passes right away in January. So if we do a fee change or increase of any kind mid-season.
yeah.
Essentially, some users will have purchased it at the old rate and some will have,
That
something to
happens.
consider. And that happened to our pavilion rental, for example, but
You know, there could be a sign up where we could make notice, you know, we'll be looking at a fee increase in March of 2024, or pick a month. I just picked March because that gives you, you know, quarter of the way into the year. The other thing is that, I'm not concerned about us being, the highest rate for, boat launch, up with, what was the other one that was had $8?
no.
Brown County, because Winnebago County sits on more water than any other county in the state. So we got more water. It doesn't surprise me.
At $8, Brown County.
I think she meant 8 launches.
There's
But yeah.
no boat launch at $8.
Oh.
Be $2 higher than most. You know, and my comments
I
are,
see.
you can land an airplane at Whitman Field for free. You can play soccer for free. You can play baseball for free. You can play disc golf for free. Why do we have to continually charge these boaters more money? We have all kinds of money in the Spirit Fund to fix these boat landings. We're gonna give $7 million away to nonprofits. And what we wanna do is take something from some boaters that basically worked hard their whole life, and we wanna try to get them for another $2 to launch a boat. I mean, come on. When do we just say enough is enough? And they're already paying more than their fair share. You can rent a soccer field, don't cost nothing. You can get a baseball diamond, don't cost nothing. You can play disc golf, doesn't cost a dime. They want $1 million to level off the soccer fields. You know, I can take my airplane and go land at Whitman Field, it's free. You know, and if this man wants to launch his boat, we're gonna charge him $7. And if he doesn't, we charge him nothing to launch his boat, we're charging him to park his trailer.
Yeah.
Because if he launches his boat and leaves, you'll charge him nothing. But yet you can land your plane at Whitman Field, go have supper and come back and fly away and don't pay a dime. You know, them runways cost $10 million. We built hangars for them people for $325 rent. The taxes in the city of Oshkosh should be more than that if they built it themselves. We constantly pick on these boaters, you know, because we want to get a little more revenue out of them. I think we should just basically table this for a year and we'll come back next year in December and see where the monies lie, how much the Spirit Fund could fix some of this. We have that money in the Spirit Fund. We're giving $7 million away to nonprofits, and yet we want to take money from this man. You know, he probably isn't using any of the services that nonprofits are offering. He doesn't want to pay for them, but yet we're going to make him pay for it through other forces of revenue. So my motion would be is to table this until December and bring it back, and we'll evaluate it then.
Is there a second? Yeah, you could say something.
There's just, I know it's been brought up, by, Dave and Supervisor Bender as well. In regards to the soccer fields and other amenities in the park. Yes, there are many amenities in our park, playgrounds, that type of thing that don't have a fee. One thing I will say is the soccer fields don't have a fee from the county unless you're doing a special event. However, they're also set up a little differently. Same with the rugby, even disc golf. As an example, one of the things on our agenda today is replacing the disc golf baskets.
Right.
The disc golf users are going to do a fundraiser to help basically replace the baskets. The soccer fields, they buy their own mower, they buy their own, and now granted, yes, we do mow the general area, but if they want it shorter. They pay for their own painter to paint the fields, they pay for all the goals, they pay for all the nets. They fertilize the fields. We don't even fertilize the fields, they do. Same with rugby. The goalposts, they put a lot of sweat equity into, now, and I get it, boat landings are a little different. There's a lot of hardscape, there's a lot of concrete, but I just want to make sure, because I also don't want to discredit some of the other groups that are using the fields that are putting in a lot of hours, and they're also putting in a lot of fundraising and time to also be able to keep, there wouldn't be soccer, put it this way, at the current budget level of the county parks department, there would not be a soccer field out there. There's no way we could paint 20 soccer fields, pay for 40 goals, you gotta multiply it by 2, pay for 40 nets in the upkeep, because I know what it was like to do 5 of those. There's no way at my current staffing level I could do 20. So I just want to at least, I don't want to discredit those groups either. I know we're also talking about the boat landing, but I just want to make sure.
Aren't they asking for $1 million upgrade to re-level them fields?
It's not $1 million.
What is
I'd say about, off the top of my head, about 500,000.
500,000
being proposed.
Yep. And we have another group asking for pickleball courts. Are they gonna pay the 600,000 for them?
Sure.
You know, all I'm saying is treat people equal. That's all I'm asking. If you wanna basically charge the boaters, then charge everybody. If you have an airplane, why can you land an airplane for free, but you can't have a boat launch for free? You know,
Point of the landing a plane is free per fill up. So if you pay for the fill up.
oh, they make a small percentage, but if you get your fuel at your home base where your plane is, you may never buy fuel at Whitman Field.
Right, and then you do have to pay a daily fee.
If you stay overnight, but not if you just go out for supper. These guys aren't staying overnight, they're going fishing for an hour or two. I don't either, I'm just saying, these guys aren't staying overnight, they're not staying overnight, they're basically coming for a couple hours fishing and.
I guess the only other thing I'd like to point out is that back in 2003, the yearly pass was $25, is that correct? With inflation today, it'd be 42. Same thing, $5 in 2003 is worth $8.30 today. So we're not even hitting the inflation yet.
What if you look at the city of Oshkosh, I mean, they have by far superior boat landings to us. Menominee Park is by far the best boat landing in Winnebago County, and they're at $7 and $30. And I live in Oshkosh, I pay the highest property taxes in Winnebago County is the city of Oshkosh, I pay them. And I'm happy to have a good boat landing, and I don't have a boat. But I want people to come to the community so that I get good teachers, I get good, you know, Oshkosh Truck has good workers, and you have to have amenities for people who want to live here. And if we charge them for everything, they're gonna go somewhere where they get the amenities where they feel it is more reasonable. And could any of these people that have a boat afford this? They could, but it's all about treating people equal, in my opinion. And it's like, I don't like paying my property taxes. I mean, I just, if I could live get like the town of Winchester pays 13 something per thousand, and I pay 29. So I pay almost 2/3 more than they do. So I would love to cut my tax bill and, you know, just pay 1/3 of it. But I like living in Oshkosh. I like the schools. I don't have nobody in school. You know, I like the boat landings. I like Menominee Park. I like that we have a zoo. But it all costs money. I'm not, and if people aren't willing to pay the taxes, what happened? We don't attract the businesses like the factories like Oshkosh Truck and Bemis. Well, then we have no jobs. So if we got no jobs, where do we do? You know, I mean, people have to have things to do. And if we don't have things for them, they're not gonna wanna live in our community. And if we don't have workers, the businesses are gonna move out. And pretty soon, what we'll have is like in Detroit, where you have nothing but a bunch of ghettos because the automakers shut down and there's no jobs because there's nothing for the people. So I mean, if a dollar is gonna make a big difference to us, this whole thing, we're gonna talk about maybe making $40,000 more a year on a $205 million budget. You know, and we're gonna give $7 million to nonprofits. It's like, I'm sorry, I told Adam yesterday, I couldn't support this. I won't support personnel and finance, and I won't support it at the county board.
And I completely understand your concern with the nonprofits. I think you and I share that very closely. It's very disheartening to see money being thrown.
When we have needs like this, that we're saying,
Correct.
we're gonna close down Parkview because we have no money, and yet we're gonna give $7 million away.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, I can't take money out of the hardworking people that they work 40 hours a week or more and they go to launch their boat, now we wanna take more money from them. I can't support it. I won't.
Sure, sure. I think I'm just looking at this in particular from an inflation standpoint and the fee increasing standard reasonable. We're not doubling anything. Um, with inflation being considered, it seems reasonable to me, so I do support the fee increase. I don't think we're doing anything rash here. Again, I do agree though with your sentiment about where other money is being sent. Very disheartening,
It is.
but I don't think we can wait until December to try to rehash this out.
You wanna make a motion?
Yeah, the only thing I would like to just ask is, on item D, under fees about the senior citizen. Kelly met in Brown County, it's like the senior citizen at 62 years old, and we have it at 55. Is there a reason?
That's what we've had.
That's just what we do? Okay,
Yeah, that's been our policy.
okay, perfect.
They don't live as long.
Water's not as good. Great, I will move, I will move for the ordinance to amend the Winnebago County General Code, chapter 19.24 through 11, boat landing trailer parking fee permit. Parking permit fees to include the proposed fee schedule for the Winnebago County public boat landings.
Is there a second?
I'll second it so we can get a discussion.
Okay. So,
I would.
well, first, we're not gonna vote on this yet. We're gonna have to open for discussion. If there's any more discussion.
That's okay. Adam, do we need to amend right now, item D,
Yeah, we have to basically make another section says for the purpose of this ordinance, senior. Let's just see, or senior residency, yeah, so senior status shall be considered either one of the following, or not either one of the following, as one of the following. And then, we have to have a number one under it that basically says 55 years or older, or person's age 55 years or older.
I have no objection to 62 if somebody, 55 is, these days, you could have another 15 years of work at 55.
yeah, 55 is a spring chicken.
Yeah, for me, that was almost 20 years ago and I'm still working. I don't know, 55, I know that apartments, senior apartments are 55 and older. I think only because they think that those people are no longer, in a reproductive state. And won't be bringing small children to those apartments, but I'm sort of thinking 62 is a better, age for senior than 55.
Yeah, and it's consistent with our other counties.
So, do you have any other fees that you can recall them that we use 55? I know our shelter rentals don't. have
Shelter rentals do not. I don't think so. I think this is the only one.
I just wanna make sure. I just wanna make sure it's not defined anywhere else in code.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere else in the county that has fees outside of parks that should remain consistent?
I don't know that we have to worry about everything in the county. I can see that being consistent for the parks department. I don't know where the fees there would be. Can you think of fees, Mr. Damon, can you think of fees being charged by age in the county?
No, I think the closest thing that we have to a standard would be the ADRC. I think 62 is fine.
Yeah, well, the ERC also includes younger people who have disabilities.
And I think you have the right as a committee to set whatever your standard is for this, so.
I would say 62.
I searched for the word senior and you were in chapter 19 within parks and we don't define it. The only two times it comes up is in boat landings, so we do not define it otherwise.
Okay.
Well, when you buy fishing license and hunting license, they defined senior, you get a discount. I think that's 62, is it not?
I don't have a fishing or hunting license.
Then you're gonna get fined.
I'm not hunting or fishing. They'll have to catch me first.
But there was a senior.
If this is accurate, it's 65 and older.
Oh, so 62 is still,
62 is a bargain then.
it's true.
All right, I'm going with 62. Is that a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Amend the age 62 and then. See here.
And we need to have correct numbers on these numbers that are out of whack, Adam.
1 second, please. So the 3-year resident supplemental is correct and the non-resident supplemental is correct. But the annual resident supplemental should have been $10. And the annual non-resident supplemental should have been 15. Basically, the supplemental went off the same premise of removing the 30 or free. That's where those prices come from.
Oh,
Which is good.
Now, there could be an argument, though, the supplemental, in the sense of they're sorry, someone's trying to join. That they're a fee, for someone that's already bought a pass for their second car, but that is, we went basically standard, or kept everything standard with what we were doing previously.
Yeah, I'll just say that I won't support this, and I mean, what you got here is a document that the numbers aren't right, and, I just think it's wrong. I think that what we're doing is picking out one group of people, and we keep basically picking on them because they need to use a boat launch, and everything else. We'll spend $1 million leveling soccer fields. We're gonna go out and do the Eureka or the Waukau Dam. That's $1.8 million. It's gonna bring no revenue in, and we're not gonna charge anybody to walk along the trail there. We're not gonna use anybody to use that pavilion. It's a service we provide to the community, but yet these poor boaters, we're just gonna keep picking on them. We'll spend $1.8 million on the Waukau Dam that it's been the way it is for the last 40 years. And we're gonna fix the trail, cut some trees. We're not really doing anything to the dams. Build the parking lot, and it generates no revenue. We wanna do the walking at Shangri-La, put a boardwalk in. We're not gonna charge anything for that. That's gonna be over $1 million. And yet these poor boat people, we just continually try to get a couple more dollars out of them. So, I mean, I can't support it, but that's just my opinion.
I think people who have $100,000 boat could not really be considered poor people.
Well, Morris has got basically maybe a $2,500 boat. Dave Albright's got about a $3,000 boat. They're far from having a $100,000 boat. They're retired, living on a fixed income that want to fish. You're taking the money right out of their pocket. Not everybody has the $100,000 Ranger boats with the 300 horse motor. There's an awful lot of people that just retire and fish with a small little boat with a 10 horse motor on the back that don't have any more money than the average person, just trying to basically, like the senior center. It's there so that seniors get out of the house, and the boat launches. If we can get seniors out to do something, it's going to be better for them physically and mentally, rather than sitting in their recliner watching TV. But if they don't have $8 to launch their boat, I guess they can't go fishing today.
Hey, Adam, when's the last time we increased these?
That
I
was
can't remember.
2018.
2018, so it's been a while. All right, I guess my only other concern is that we have another supervisor on the board who keeps talking about doing a sales tax increase. And for me, that would be more damaging to the entire public.
Yeah.
Than just this increase.
Okay, hearing no other discussion, we'll place this under vote. All in favor of, the proposed rate increase with the, except with the corrections that we've made, including changing the age from adding the age, and then in changing it to 62, changing the supplementals, reflect the way what you had in mind. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. That's 3-1. All right. Budget transfer, camera installation at Grumman boat landing.
Not sure the rule, I'm not sure if you know, but, Josh voted online.
He can't
Does that,
vote.
I can't remember. I don't
Yeah,
have virtual
it's
vote too.
11.6.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Josh.
Just wanted to double check for a minute purposes too. Okay. All right. So the next item on the agenda is, included in your packet was a budget amendment, or budget transfer form and also, agenda item report. I know I've been updating on the Grumman boat landing for a while now. When we first opened the bids, I mentioned that we had 2% contingency. Usually you want about 5% contingency. Now, that all being said, this was not in we had the infrastructure for the cameras in the project, the conduit. And basically everything running to the area where the cameras will be. The light poles were, custom ordered to have basically the areas that they can attach the cameras to, and they also have 2 channels running up them. So we had the infrastructure ready, but it wasn't part of the original plan. So our request is to purchase the 4 cameras. So basically it's really, I guess, 3 cameras, but basically there's a 360 camera, a 180 camera. There's multiple cameras within them. That's why I say that many. And then a license plate camera as you come in. And so then also because it wouldn't be connected to our network, because our network's all the way out in County A, and to bring that up, we could do that at a future time, but obviously that's a long run to run fiber. So we would actually house the camera system in the bathroom, in the mechanical room at the Grumman boat landing. So the 18,000 is for the cabling, because the cabling is not run. Really, all that's out there is conduit, and the light pole is capable of taking the cameras. So we're asking for basically this amount to purchase the cameras, purchase the wire. Facilities has been out there several times. Facilities department, they're gonna run the cable, they're gonna basically run the power that the cameras need. And then we have an outside company that the same company that does the Expo cameras, so that way we're on the same system.
And this is a small enough budget transfer. We don't have to go to the full board, correct? Or do we?
So it was increased to 40,000 from the contingency fund. So it would go to PNF, and then if
Okay.
PNF approves it, it does not go to the full county
Okay.
board.
Do we have a resolution?
Because it's not going to the full county board, we do not.
Okay, sorry, thank you, Adam.
Okay, anybody want to move the budget transfer for the camera installation at Grumman boat landing?
I will.
One second.
And any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
3-1.
Yeah, we can't afford it.
All right,
In the boat landing.
budget amendment, the disc golf basket replacement fundraiser. Who's the players themselves are doing that?
Yep, so we have we've worked with an individual since I've been here, Zach Bays. He helped redesign the course out at the community park. Excuse me. And they approached us saying that they needed the baskets, basically the chain on the baskets isn't suitable anymore. A lot of the frisbees bounce off. And so they wanted to fundraise for new baskets. So we're going to
Have they said what they're gonna do to fundraise?
Well, the plan is we're gonna put it basically on Wisconsin Surplus and just an auction site, and then basically we're to advertise it. I mean, the whole community can purchase them from there, but so that way it's a competitive purchase process or selling process, because we're the county, we have to do it that way. And so we'll be posting them on there. They'll bid on them through there. And according to Zach, he already pretty much all 36, he said, are pretty much accounted for, in the sense of he has enough people that would buy all 36. So we're confident. Basically, the budget amendment is really giving us the authority to, once we get the revenue, to then spend the money on the baskets. And that's why there's the budget. That's why there's basically an increase to revenue, but also an increase to expense to match that revenue that's coming in.
And what are the things that people will be bidding on?
The old
Oh,
baskets.
that's all.
Basically, they would bid on the old baskets, and when we remove the old baskets, we would give those to the buyers, and then
Okay.
we would install the new ones next spring.
Okay,
What happens, they don't get enough money to replace them?
Well, then we only got a budget amendment for what comes in, so if we don't get that amount exactly, then we'd have to see.
Well, we have no baskets, we sold them.
Well, we sold part of them, because we're gonna have a minimum. So the minimum amount on the baskets that we're gonna put on Wisconsin surplus are like for the minimum threshold that will sell the baskets is the amount, that's what this is the minimum amount. So if we make more than that.
Basket for what you're selling the old basket.
Correct. Well, yeah, correct. So it's that essentially, I think 150 a basket is what we were set the minimum at, I believe.
Maybe around there, maybe a little higher
Justin's
possibly.
running it. But yeah, so we were set that minimum. So if they don't get to that amount, well, then we won't sell those particular ones. Yes, and then they'll have to do probably a second fundraiser. So that we could replace one course, and then we'd have to, we'd obviously focus on one course and then the next if we had to do that.
question?
Yes,
It's a unique idea.
you're selling the old baskets, and that's gonna give you enough money for the new baskets.
Because
So why wouldn't the person buying the old baskets just go out and buy a brand new one?
So
I mean,
so keep in mind, they want to play on a whole course. They're just putting these baskets like in their backyard type of a thing.
Oh,
And so what Zach was saying is it's nostalgia for a lot of people. They've been playing at the community park for years and to just buy a basket, have it for their backyard, that type of thing. So,
okay.
so
Why
yeah,
wouldn't they buy a new one that way otherwise?
because they want to see 36 holes with brand new baskets at the community park.
No,
If
I'm
they-
talking about the people buying your.
Well, I know,
old-
because those are the players that come to the community park.
If they bought a new one and hung it in their backyard, we still don't have that basket.
No, but what I'm trying to get at is, why would the purchaser of the old baskets buy old ones when they could buy brand new ones at the same cost? There we go, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, because they're buying it because they know it's a fundraiser.
Okay,
They know that intent, so they understand it. That's why they're willing to pay new price for a used basket.
And don't get me wrong, we know this is a unique idea. I mean, obviously not a lot of.
if you get
government-
by with it, fine, just, I wouldn't do it,
Well, you don't play disc golf.
how do you know?
I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Well, I like that they're being recycled essentially, so
Yeah.
I will move to accept the budget amendment for the purchase.
Is there a second for that?
Second,
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Yeah.
You're in a mood today. Okay. Discussion on ATVs on the Wirewash Trail.
And I guess, so,
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say, make sure that you know that we are not allowing any of those ATVs or any kind of motorized vehicle on the Wirewash Trail. You can have that parking area that you wanted, and you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do to get across the icy stuff to get into the water, but no ATVs on the Wirewash Trail.
That's what we wanted to put on the agenda here. You could take to consider an ordinance change that they could, run the ATVs from West Wind to, the bridge, when there's ice on the lake. That's what I called here about to get on the agenda.
Okay, that, you should have some time to make that during public comments.
Well, excuse me, when you said public comment, I guess I screwed up. I thought it was just for when these two folks were talking about
Oh,
the boat fees. And then you asked me, do you have anything to say? I said, no, not on this issue. At that time, I should have spoke to this issue. I misunderstood you.
yeah.
Could I move that we go back to item 5 for public comment and give the speaker 2 minutes?
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay, this property came up from DOT, for sale. We talked to the county and said, the county, you want to buy it, find a town will bid on. Town bought, excess properties, previously from DOT. But then it came up, you didn't want it, so we worked with DOT. DOT sold us saying it's in wetlands. Okay, so then we went and worked with the people, and we were, because it's wetlands, we were able to still to mow the buckthorn. We were able to take down the ash trees, because all ash trees are dead or dying according to DNR. And we wanted to see about getting a ramp from the town road down onto the town property. We worked with our engineer, he got a wetland delineator, been under for decades of delineating wetlands. That area where we put the ramp in, we got it out of, that was determined out of wetlands. We got county highway to set a culvert there and put stone over the top to get the ramp going down in there. We're done. No signage, no structures, no nothing. It's all done that you can go in there and park in there on dry summer or frozen ground. We're not gonna do anything on any of those stuff in there at all. We're asking that from that area or back to west wind, we'd be able to go on frozen ground to get onto the frozen lake. It's only gonna be the beginning and the end of winter. In the middle of the winter, people drive off of Edgewood and drive off and on the lake there to get access for fishermen onto the east end of Butamore. The county didn't want to do it, so we were, the town did it. We paid for it, and I donated all my time and equipment up there, and we're done with our part of it. We're not gonna do anything more. We're just asking that the ATVs could be, the fishermen can go from there and pull the subs with their kids or whatever and get out onto Lake Butamore for winter ice fishing.
How long a stretch is that?
Paced it off.
I was actually have that map up, and just kind of further explain, or to remind the committee, this was that property that we looked at. All of last year, actually, during this time, the DOT was, and the town piggybacked on it too, just like he mentioned. That basically, if we didn't end up purchasing it, they were to purchase it. Through that conversation, that was this property, through that conversation with the DNR, as identified that it was wetlands. They said we couldn't put a gravel parking lot or a paved parking lot. That's from a county perspective, that's what we would have wanted to do, obviously from a maintenance perspective, and obviously, future meetings. So yep, so just so you're aware, that was that property that we were discussing in spring and summer too. So, but the distance here is basically from that property, so it's gonna be a little rough, but to about, I think there's like that, the steps, I think is what you were referring to. Yep, so it's about here. So about 1,400 feet is what they're requesting. And really just to summarize, I'll be honest, because we talked about it.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting you did not put this on the agenda, but Adam and I discussed this in great length about no ATVs in the Wawash Trail. So, that was just our discussion. I wanted it on the agenda. Maybe you also had input on this.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Just so you're aware, for the item agenda report, I pretty much copied and pasted last year's because it was the day that the agenda was due, really the day after the agenda was due.
Yeah.
So I was scrambling. So just so you're aware, I copied and pasted a lot of this information. I think I even mentioned that this was a discussion item in August 2022, and pretty much copy and pasted some of the information, just so you had some background to kind of refresh your memories. The biggest thing, obviously, it's a policy decision that needs to be determined by this committee and the county board. At the end of the day, really, there's two items that have, if ATVs are to be allowed in the future on the Wawash Trail, whether it's for 1,000 feet or whether it's for 10 feet or for the whole distance, our Kern County ordinance basically says that no motorized vehicles, and then it does have an exception for snowmobiles and maintenance vehicles and emergency vehicles, of course. But then the other factor is that this is also state designated trail. So they have, the state master plan also says no ATVs on the Wawash Trail. So in order to, this trail at one point was state funded. So in order, we wouldn't want them obviously to ever pull that funding or charge us back or whatnot for doing something outside of the master plan. So we'd have to go through the state master plan process, which is honestly, it hasn't been done since 1993 or 6 or something. It's been a while. So it's not a bad idea to go through the master plan process, kind of like we're doing with the community park on the Wawash Trail. I know there's other avenues and connections to other communities that we could look at when we're going through that process, but so that is just something that we'd also have to go through. I'm not sure, I've never gone through a master plan with the state. Keep in mind that would also probably include Outagamie County, and it would also probably include, I believe, Shawano County. Cause it stops at Hortonville, but then it picks up, and I believe that's Shawano County where it picks up again. So that master plan accounts for all three counties. So it would just be a process, and it's not, that's how we get public involvement and public input on these items. So just so you're aware, those would be the two biggest obstacles or biggest things that would have to be changed to allow ATVs onto the trail.
Having
So
things like
just so you're all aware.
Eagle River open their trails up to ATVs. I believe a lot of their trails were state funded and now because basically, and they actually have snowmobile. Last year, our snowmobile trails were from 1 day. So that's all that trail got used is 1 day. And now these people want to go fishing 1,400 feet. And we're gonna say, well, no, snowmobile might want to use it. Some years they don't get opened up at all. So all winter, and we're buying a trail groomer because that's what Tom McGinnis didn't want to open the trails up because he said we didn't have a trail groomer. Well, we put that in the budget this year for $20,000. Now we have a trail groomer. So that isn't an excuse no more. You know, you can have a horse ride on that trail. You can have bicycles ride on that trail. It's like these people just want to fish. I mean, and the parking lot they built is on mud. So if it's not frozen, they can't park there. You know, if it's not a gravel parking lot, it's a mud parking lot. It's like parking on county park. So if the ground is not froze, there's no way they can park there. So if the ground, like your backyard is frozen enough for you to park your car on it, all they're asking to do is drive across the trail to get to the lake. It's gotta be froze. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me why we don't let the people use the facilities that they pay for.
How much does it cost to like repair that much? Like if there's ruts after the season?
Well, find out for first time with our trail groomer, obviously the trail, in theory, if we're able to regularly get on with our trail groomer, it's gonna be staff time.
Okay.
And any maintenance on the trail groomer piece of equipment itself, that requires our larger tractor to pull it.
Okay. Is this a 1,400 feet? Is that gonna break us with our staff?
To be 100% honest with you, this particular, I can go from a staff perspective and personally just from a maintenance and staff perspective, both ways, because I'm always telling this committee that the more use we can get in our parks, the better. That's what they're there for.
Right.
You know, so the more use we can get on the lake, it's not our park, but it's the state's park and everyone's park. To get on the lake, the better. Yes, there is definitely absolutely a trade-off of maintenance. Now, my only other concern is we can't, so we would put a sign at the bridge that basically says no ATVs past this point.
Sure.
Now, my only concern is we don't have a barrier. We see people on the Mascouten Trail, which is a little bit further out there, less monitored. We see ATVs going down that trail. And yes, it's rare because, you know, but at the same time, it is something that I don't know if a sign is gonna stop someone. My other only concern is if people see people starting to go down the trail to or I should say going north on the trail from Westwind or from this parking lot, I have a strong feeling that people are also gonna consider coming south here and finding a place to park up here too. So, you know, obviously we'd have to do signage. I've talked to the sheriff in the past, the sheriff's office, and I know, I believe, Captain Ciensicola isn't in his current role, but previously when he was patrol captain, that he had mentioned that, you know, there's just no way that they would be able to properly monitor and, patrol, obviously, for this little, the purpose, this little spot. So, I mean, you know, like I said, I think, you know, you do want to get more people in the parks. You do want to have more use. Yes, we don't know what the maintenance will be. My biggest question, maybe not as much even sometimes the trail, because to your point, yeah, the Eagle River and a lot of those trails up there, a lot of ATVs and snowmobiles. But I've also ridden my bikes on those trails and they're not great because then they have some big ruts and they're really bumpy. So it's a trade-off that way now too. Now, granted, I know we're looking at limiting it. So what I was trying to get at though is the embankment on the west side. Hopefully it should be frozen enough that it's not going to damage anything, but we don't want obviously to ruin the levee, to ruin the trail area and have repairs there. So those are just some of my thoughts in regards to, because yeah, I obviously want more users to utilize trails. And I mean, I mentioned those stats at our budget meeting. Someone actually asked, so I pulled it up. How many people do we have in the winter on the trail? So I actually have here right at Westwind because we have that trail counter and we are in 2022. So October, I don't know if you could say when, but it started November, 1,800, 982. And then we go down to here, this row. 1,017, 1,000 in February, and 1,037 in March. And so to your point, yes, probably most of those weren't even ATVs because it was barely open. So that's probably mostly walkers and bikers, and that's West Wind specifically. So that's that parking lot, just south here that we have down here. So, and then if obviously you compare that to the summer, as soon as things start warming up, you're at 3,300 and so on and so forth. So just I heard that mentioned one piece, I decided to pull it up for your information.
And they're just getting more acceptable. I mean, the county lets them on the county roads if they're under 1,000 cars per day. The towns let them on their roads. So they can go just about anywhere now in Winnebago County on an ATV. So it's like, we almost got to get on with the times. Years ago, you couldn't run an ATV on any road. Well, the county lets them ride down a county road. The towns let them ride down a town road, and we're not gonna let them cross a trail? It just don't make no sense.
This one is, are you finished speaking?
Can I speak a little more? Yeah, the railroad grades were built after the Civil War. They're not, it's not like just fill, that's solid rock. Numbers over 1 million freight cars went down there, 100-ton rate for freight cars went down there. This is on frozen ground in the winter. They only want this short stretch so they can access there. If there's any signage involved, just talk to John. The town will pay for the signage. That county, make the signage the way you people want there. Is that they do not come from the north. They only come from the south there, just to the bridge. That's it. Just so people can access in the winter for ice fishing.
And if there was a change, we just make it specific in ordinance that,
Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna close public comments. Now we're fully on number 9. I worry about the abuse. 1,400 feet is not that much, but there's all that stuff north of that. There's, beyond, and do we have to okay this with the state? Cause I don't want to poke any sleeping bears.
I mean, the other question is, if the other way to look at it is if there are issues, then in future years, we close it down. And we put up a gate
Okay.
and stop it and say, if there's issues with people driving, to your point, if there's issues with people continually driving further down,
Yeah.
I mean, that is a solution down the road. We just put a gate up there and basically sign it, no ATVs. Right? It's hard to retrain people. That's the biggest thing, right? It's hard to obviously retrain them. Like if we allowed it and all of a sudden we backtrack and say, oh, never mind, because we have issues.
Can we try this for like the 2023, 2024? November through March, see how it goes and then evaluate costs in like June.
I mean, so as of right now, we need to do an ordinance change.
Can we do a temporary ordinance change?
Without corp counsel here, and I don't know if you have that. Yeah. Without corp counsel, I am not sure. And I don't think it says some codes do allow the parks director, except for permission from the parks director, that type of caveat. I don't believe this one does. I'm going to triple check. So this is where I believe no vehicles of any kind shall be operated on the recreational trail except police vehicles, emergency and rescue vehicles. Obviously, keep in mind this section up here, snowmobile kind of covers the snowmobiles. I don't believe, it doesn't mention because it doesn't, they're talking about this, the off season. During the off season, the use of recreation trail shall conform to the rules and regulations relating to county. I don't feel like that. Oh, county parks. So it does not say that the county executive or county parks director, or what I'm seeing,
To make any changes.
correct, where some things I can or have that, I guess. So without consulting with corp counsel, I'm not sure, unless wait a minute, records Joe maybe open there. Parks, no, that's snowmobile related.
You could bring us up again in December and give us a chance to talk to the, core council and see what her opinion is and what it would take. Because we're not gonna have anything frozen between now and. Yes,
Yeah, I would suggest if it was your wish, you could add that caveat, you know, unless approved by the Parks Director or County Executive. You can make that.
we can change that.
You can make that code, you can add that language to the code.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, and then that would have to go to the full board, but that would be an easy way to do it without necessarily just changing it in Moss. I think that's probably the best way to get to Supervisor Dowling's point of something temporary. You could do it that way.
I'd make a motion to that. Bring that forward to add that language to that contract so that the Parks Director and the county exec could revise for ATVs on a temporary basis.
Would you want both of them for input? You said the county, the director and the executive. It could be both of them have input or just one or the other?
One or the other. I mean, if Adam would be gone or, you know, like I say, sometimes it takes us a year to get a director. So
Well-
then we would have basically no director for a year. So why would we want to be?
Don't leave.
Well, think of it this way, if you say Parks Director, or County Executive is my
Yes,
boss, he could tell
exactly.
me to do something,
Yes.
so. So you're kind of in a way,
Just to be clear, that's section 19.7
2-7,
of the.
4B.
Or B.
Now,
Sorry,
Oh.
can I second Supervisor Bender's motion to amend
Yes.
section 19.27, item 4, subsection B?
now from a timing standpoint, I have one quick question. Is the county board agenda already done for next week?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
At noon, well, you have 26 minutes, 36 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So I mean, I was just trying to clarify. So
Who shouldn't.
I was just trying to clarify, so that way you guys know if it's good, if it would go on the county board in November or December. So that's why I wanted to clarify. So I guess what I would say at this point is if this is approved, I can't guarantee it'll be on the agenda for November, but that would be my first phone call after this meeting,
Okay.
is to see if it is
All right.
possible.
So are we tabling the ATV discussion until the following month?
I
No, I
see we
think that's
push it
motion.
through
We got a motion.
and Bender's motion to amend the section.
Okay. So amending the section to include, giving more, power to the director or the county executive. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Wait, I just want to see what the agenda report is.
okay.
But yeah, the
I mean,
county board wasn't posted.
I think it's just discussion. There's no possible action. So you would have to do it at your next,
Yeah.
It's not posted yet.
trying to make sure we're following.
Oh, yeah, we're just doing a discussion anyway. There's no action taken.
Could we have a Parks meeting at 5:30 on the 22nd?
You could have another meeting if you want to officially approve it. That would be up to your chair. Yeah.
We would have to still get that to the, within the next 26 minutes.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have a meeting.
So basically, you would have to trust that we put together a draft resolution that you're going to approve right before the meeting,
Sure, we do that with the.
which I know has happened. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
do
PNF,
that
I
with
think,
the.
has done that a few
I
times.
feel
Yeah,
confident that,
You feel what?
confident that we could,
In the middle
30 minutes.
I thought I felt confident in that.
Thank you for the confidence.
All right, well, we'll meet at 5:30 before the county board meeting.
Is that okay?
Okay, I get there about that time anyway.
Thank you.
We're gonna meet there. I wasn't here.
Okay, are we done with the discussion of the ATVs? I just read about it.
Did you guys vote on it? Sorry.
We voted.
Or it's not a vote, right?
Yeah, it's not a
Thank
vote,
you,
yeah.
thank you.
All right. Park director updates.
All right, Grumman Boat Landing construction update. This might be the last update because, or maybe I'll have one more in December. So last week, the bathroom was installed at the Grumman Boat Landing. The plumber was supposed to be out there today. We want to get it all tested and make sure the water runs and make sure the toilets flush and the electricity turns on, all that kind of stuff before, next year. We want to do that now.
And the water will run and the toilets will flush all winter long.
No, that's the thing.
No,
They
that's
get
the thing.
winterized. So that's why we want to
Okay,
do it
that's what
before
I
it
was
gets too
wondering about
cold.
Yeah,
So we're hoping to get that done within the next week or so, get that all shut down. Get the lights powered. Basically, we're still working with WPS now that the bathroom's there, to get the meter and get everything generated or powered. So, there's a few cleanup things we're definitely gonna need to do. We're going to, staff internally are gonna work, it wasn't in the project, and now that you see this, what happens, a lot of projects, some signs, we wanna get some more informational signs around, in terms of, what the fee, where the fee station is, where to go when you come in the park. There should be a sign that says basically stay to your right, those types of, this is a staging area. Those types of signs. So we'll work with highway on that. And Kyle and I will work to get those put in before next season. And then I would think we'd have a ribbon cutting next year. I would think that would make sense
Okay.
for a project of this size. Obviously I don't think it makes sense to do one anymore. And I mean, granted, the weather's pretty nice, but I think we wait till next year. So that is Grumman Boat Landing. Otherwise, I mean, going well. It's gonna end in budget. Like I said, the cameras, I wanted to be specific that they weren't included in the original project scope. And we have about 17,000 left right now. But with the bathroom not being turned on yet, I just didn't, we didn't want to request or use the camera money in the budget and then obviously have a little hiccup come up that we have to spend $1,000 or $2,000. So then the Nets Are Home project update, we are working through, we have a tentative date to raise the building on the 20th of this month. However, we're running into just a few wrinkles because as the house essentially has asbestos in it, which we knew. That's why we had the abatement amount in there. However, we found out that so in February, March, I don't know if you remember, Ricky, you remember, but around February, March timeline, somewhere around that. Basically, Tom would do pretty much monthly walk into the house, make sure the house is alive. Problem is we went in one day in the winter and there was a leak in one of the toilets, and it caused mold. And the mold is bad enough that they cannot abate the property. So we have to take down the whole house as if it's all asbestos, which isn't a huge deal. We have to have a water truck there and some of that. It's the disposal costs that we're working on now, because now the whole house is considered contaminated. I'm working with John Raby to see, because the fee is very different for a friable asbestos, because then there's also, not to get too technical, but there's friable, non-friable, and friable is ones that can turn into dust and powder and be inhaled. And so there's a potential that they're saying that it's friable. We're trying to say it's non-friable. I mean, it's a $370 per ton versus $70 per ton difference. So it's a very large difference. So we're working through that process. If we need to come for a budget increase on that, we'll come and ask for that. But at this time, I'm hoping, working with John Raby and the other landfills, Allegheny and Brown, because Brown opened up a new one, that we will be able to do it in budget. So just so you're all aware where Netzer's at, we are planning still to take it down this year. I don't want to lose sight of that. And then the comprehensive outdoor rec plan, master plan, just give you a quick snapshot of where we're at. They're doing a lot of drafts. This is like a draft of the drafts, not finalized by any means. And I know probably not the greatest to see. I mean, I can zoom in just a little bit. We could always have this on agenda, future agenda, to go through in more detail. And obviously we will, because before the committee approves any comprehensive plan or any master plan. But basically we divided it into phases. Phase 1 versus phase 2, or sorry, I was already on phase 2. Oh, it's because I'm zoomed in. They're side by side. Yeah, okay, I'll just keep it side by side. Phase 1 versus phase 2 versus phase 3 then, and then an overview of the entire phasing process, and it's color coded for each phase. So phase 3 is orange, phase 1 is blue, and phase 2 is this pink stuff. So like the pavilion area. So you can kind of see this will, I want to just give you a sneak peek, because it's been mentioned here at this meeting too, with spirit funds. What we're trying to do is we're trying to spread out the spirit funds to hit as many different users and properties as possible. When it comes to, so we're, looking at the Waukah Dam, we're looking at the trail and Waiwash Trail, paving that in Oshkosh. We're looking at some kayak rental stations at the boat landings. We're looking at this master plan or with the community park phase one of the master plan with the community park, which is, well, blue is I think easier to see than showing you as phase one. But you know, how I mentioned, Supervisor Bender asked about the soccer fields and which ones would be done. So, you know, like this section of the soccer fields and then the two rugby fields and baseball field. We have the parking lots in there. Now granted, the parking lots won't be part of the Spirit Fund request. They're part of a capital CIP request, but when we do CIP as well, which I think is also potentially December too, at this committee. So I have that submitted in that. And then also like repairs to the shelter 1 and to shelter 1 and 2. That's more CIP than Spirit Fund. So there'll be some things that are separate because they're more maintenance related than I guess developing or redeveloping was kind of when we were looking at some of the thought process. So just wanted to give you a sneak peek at that. Obviously, this will be in the final document too. And of course, though, we're doing one more meeting. Well, the MSA, our engineering group will be coming back to speak to this committee, I think in December. So we have to talk about, I think it's December,
Okay,
is what they had on their timeline and calendar. And then we're doing one more public meeting and that is on Tuesday, December 5th. December 5th. We haven't done any advertisement for it yet. We just said it last week. So we'll be doing one last public, and a lot of like these types of documents will be out there and then get their feedback. That's why these aren't final by any means. So,
yeah, I don't have an essay on my calendar yet.
okay. No, and I think we'll take a look at that. I'll reach out to them too. I don't know if they'll be ready yet or if they need till January, but we'll take a look at that.
Can you email that to us?
This, yeah, I can email this draft. Keep in mind, it's a draft at this point, but
No,
yeah,
I know,
absolutely.
I know.
I just gave it to staff to review and tweak because they had a soccer field in the middle of Parkview. Obviously that's not gonna work, you know, that kind of stuff. So if you see something like that, let us know,
It's really hard to read.
right? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you see a playground where it's not supposed to be or a soccer field in the middle of Parkview, yeah,
Yeah.
just let me know.
I'm just saying, Josh, are you still on? And did you hear about the meeting, the half hour before the next county board meeting?
I did at 5:30.
Okay, good. He heard that. All right.
Well, and those are my updates.
All right, next meeting date. I have December 12th. Well,
Sure.
actually, we're meeting next week
It
for
was
half an hour.
December 19th, no, 12th, you're right, sorry, I'm thinking county board, my fault. December 12th, you were correct.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, you're right, though, now we also have one on, we can put both on the minutes. November 21st at 5:30.
Yes. Okay.
Good, I have committee comments on the agenda, something.
And I think I mentioned that last time.
Didn't make it, you
No, I didn't make it. All right. You have any comments?
I'd just like to comment how nice the park's looking and normally I'm basically commenting the other way. Parks looks best it's looked in years.
Appreciate it.
You have any comments, Jim?
No, I'm waiting for future agenda.
Okay, any comments for board members? Okay, committee members? All right, all right. And so future agenda items. What have you got, Jim Ponzer?
Well, because I started a hint on it, was if you can check it out, because you have access. I'd like to know, would it be that receptive if the people would have the same boat pass, landing pass, whatever you want to call it, that would enable them to go either in the city or in the county and figure out if we would come out ahead on it. I mean, it's something to look at. If I was back fishing again and had a boat, I gotta get one for the county. Oh, I can't go there. I got a county pass again. That's just nickeling and diming people.
I think the first conversation we had for me then would, and I'll reach out to City of Oshkosh and just see, because obviously they're the biggest partner that would need to be on board with something like that. So.
Well, finding out about the boat passes doesn't have to happen in December, but definitely in December for future agenda items. Comments from the committee?
Yep.
All right. Anything else for the future agenda? All right, I'll take a motion for adjournment. Seconds? What? Are you seconding it?
All right, I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned.
You guys sound like this
They can't-
lunch till 1 o'clock.
No, they can't make that.
Have a good day. One other comment I always hear